Welcome to the Jennifer Sheehan Show. I'm Jennifer. I would love to hear from you. Go to thejennifersheehanshow.com and follow me on social media. I have a great story for you today. I'd love to introduce you to Scott Anderson. Hi,
Hello.
Scott.
How you doing?
And Ava.
Hi.
And Allie.
Hi.
So good to have you guys on today.
Thank you.
Thanks for
Thank you.
joining me.
It's a pleasure to be here.
So you have a heartbreaking story, in my opinion. So first I want to find out, how old are you girls?
I'm 13 years old.
13?
I'm 11.
And you're 11? I won't make you tell your age.
That's okay.
So,
I don't dye my hair.
right. So tell me about Beth, about your wife.
Beth was an amazing woman. I met her February 8th, 2003. We were at a church social, 8 a.m. in the morning. It was raining out, and I just moved down here from Seattle in 2001. So was church shopping a little bit, had landed at Northwest Bible Church. So we're doing this giveaway for, this is something simple, hot chocolate for the neighborhood. And it's, like I said, it's 8 a.m., it's raining out, it's probably 50 degrees, and these women are showing up dressed
like
as
me?
if they're from Dallas. You know, I'm from Seattle, so I'm in a plaid shirt, jeans, you know, some old hat. And I think this is crazy, but I said, no, it's just Dallas. That's the way it is, you know, even at 8 in the morning, so that's fine. But then we're setting things up, and this sob pulls in. There's a little license plate that said Wasaab on the license plate. I'm like, well, that's interesting. And so this girl gets out, and her hair, look, she just rolled out of bed. Her hair's all over the place. She has this jacket that comes down to halfway down her thighs. You know, these old sweats on, beat up tennis shoes, and this big, you know, this coffee, like the lid wasn't even on right. And it looks like she just rolled out of bed, and I was just like, wow. You know,
You're all in
there
love.
she is. There she is, you know. And we just spent time together. We ended up at a little station together. We were making hot chocolate for everybody. But you know, I had this magic wife check sheet. Just started checking things off. And this is amazing. I mean, this is a lot of the things I've always wanted in a wife. And so we talked there. We ended up, you know, and of course the next day, as I told you, you know, we're at the singles group at church, and she showed up, and she was just kind of looking around where to sit. And I gave her the, you know, the cheesy line,
Right.
well, my stuff's on the second row if you want to sit next to me, if you're looking for something to sit with. And she bought it. So she sat down there. I was like, oh, this is great. Then after that, after church, we went to lunch with some of my guy friends, and she was great. She held her own through that. And then we spent the rest of the day together just walking around White Rock Lake. And as we were walking, we were talking and just started saying, oh, here's my past, and here's here's how I came to Christ, and you know, here's some of my stuff. And then she did the same thing, and we were really together ever since, until the day she passed away. I mean, we were only apart the day she traveled from work, but other than that, we were together every day since we met.
Wow. It's such a beautiful love story.
Thanks. Well, she was a
Do you
beautiful
guys
woman.
like that story of your mom?
Yeah.
I love that story. So she was an architect?
Yes, she
had her master's?
Right. She went to Clemson on an academic scholarship, got her magna cum laude in architecture, then got her master's from NC State as well, magna cum laude. She came to Dallas. She worked in the architecture field for a while there, got bored, started selling interiors, worked for Herman Miller for 10 years, was a top salesperson there, then some other flooring companies. She designed our house. She designed her parents' house. When she was in North Carolina, she consulted with some churches just for free, and you know, here's how color works and shapes and everything. So she really was, you know, well loved for that, and really
smart
respected.
woman.
Yes, very intelligent. Just a great woman of God. Always had great conversations every night. Just sat down, you know, 1 hour after the kids went to bed, you know, watching some TV, just sitting on the couch, you know, rubbing her feet, and she just telling me, you know, hey, how was your day? How was, you know, my day? And it was great.
Right.
Amazing
And
woman.
when did you know that something wasn't right?
Well, 2017, we started seeing some interesting, I don't know, we weren't sure what was going on, some different behaviors. We were doing a rehab of a giant big house in Lake Highlands. She'd become very compulsive. She started thinking, you know, she was obsessed with a couple, you know, real estate shows of, you know, fix or flip or those types of shows. And then as we were redesigning this house, she just completely forgot about the budget, and it's becoming more and more, it's bigger, the house became bigger and bigger and more elaborate and more beautiful. We're moving walls, and I'm like, look, we got to stay in budget. She goes, no, what's going to happen is we're just going to be a bidding war, just like on the show, and we're going to make all our money back. I'm like, well, hold on a second. We're capped in this market at here, but she's like, no, we're going forward with this. So I was just starting to really freak out. But we had, you know, we got through that fine. Then we started having some marital problems. It just seemed like we were talking, we just weren't connected, or she wasn't understanding what I was saying, or she would say something that wasn't didn't have anything to do with our conversation. And sometimes I saw it with the girls. She would just almost answer a different question when they came to her about something. And we thought it was, well, you've been in sales for 25 years. Maybe you're burnt out. We're talking about, she's saying, well, we get close to 50 as women get fuzzy brain with menopause. We thought, so we laughed that off. And she's like, well, maybe, maybe some of my hormones are more out of whack, and we'll go to the doctor's office and just get, checked out. But then when 2018 came, I started getting calls from friends. Hey, Beth, something's up with Beth. She can't follow conversation. She can't stay on topic. She may just make comments that aren't related to what we're talking about. And some of her friends started being concerned. One of her best friends, Jen, thought maybe she was using drugs, had taken her to lunch and said, I want to know what you're using. Are you on prescriptions? Are you overtaking things? Really had confronted her.
Right.
But Beth was like, no. And we weren't really sure what was going on at that point.
Wow. So, and you said she lost her job during this?
She eventually...
So she was one of the top salespeople.
Well, at Herman Miller, but she'd moved into commercial flooring for a different company, but she had been very successful. But then we'd started seeing, again, odd behaviors, and eventually had to let her go, which we found out later. She had some, problems with some of her production, but, people loved her and they were buying her stuff, and so we thought everything was perfect.
Right. So she loses the first job, then a friend helps her get the second job.
Yeah, a smaller
but you said
firm.
within 3 weeks she lost that job.
What we heard was she just seemed nervous all the time. Right. She had problems making attachments to emails, just the real simple things, really anxious. I mean, we're pretty convinced she knew something was wrong, but she didn't know how to communicate it or say what it was.
Right. So you went to the OBGYN, then you went
perfect.
to the neurologist.
And they did a PET scan, CAT scan, the brain. They said, well, there's a few things here and there, but it'd be the same as any other brain at 50 years old. But then a couple days later, they did recommend a memory test, and that's when we went to Baylor Memory Center.
Okay. When we come back, Scott receives heartbreaking news from the doctor.
The Jennifer Sheehan TV show is real people with real stories of redemption, miracles, and overcoming. This is a TV Christian show that gives God all the glory. The show is a 501c3 nonprofit, giving back 100% of donations towards the Jennifer Sheehan TV show. We also partner with Operation Care International, serving and supporting the homeless. In a world that is spreading fake hope, only Jesus Christ and the Holy Bible have the supernatural power to change people and their circumstances. Production for the Jennifer Sheehan TV show is extensive, and we need partners to keep it on air. If you believe in our cause, please prayerfully consider to be a partner for a $20 donation a month or more. May God bless you.
I've always believed that trust is one of the greatest compliments someone can receive. When our clients trust our team to handle one of their largest financial decisions they'll ever make, we take that very seriously. Having been in the business for over 36 years, I know that trust does not come easily, it has to be earned. Our team is committed to providing the best real estate service possible with the ultimate goal of having a seamless transaction and as little stress as possible. Let us show you why we are the best in the business.
Welcome back to the Jennifer Sheehan Show. So Scott, you get the diagnosis. What's the diagnosis?
Okay, so August of 2018, the Baylor Memory Center, we were told, I was called at work, and I was told to sit down because we got some bad news. Your wife has early onset dementia.
I'm so sorry.
And she said, gotta start making plans, so we started getting but we couldn't tell her because we had to wait to get her in the office for a week to go over the test results. And so that started some physical problems for me because I couldn't eat or sleep. And, thankfully I share an office at work, and thankfully, he was out of the town that week. And so I've just shut myself in the office. I was just, devastated for an entire week. And so we got the news, and finally a week later, and Beth herself was even devastated because there's no history of dementia or even Alzheimer's in her family.
And what's the difference when you get it when you're younger?
It progresses much faster. It's like cancer. I mean, it's got a young, healthy body. It's going to spread. Right. So what we were told to do was we're going to be strong. We're not going to, and the whole kind of biblical aspect of this is, we're not blaming God. God's given us a a new journey to be on, and we're going to get through it. So we did everything we could to just extend, Beth's life term as long as possible. And so it means healthy diet, exercise, mind games, card games, logic problems, all things we would do, but just we would do more of it during the day, just to keep her as healthy as possible.
Right. And you said that one of the things I love that you said was that she would just worship. She loved to worship before, and that you really felt like God was connecting with her through the dementia.
Definitely. Obviously, physically she was struggling, but spiritually she was healed. When church, or even when we, a few months ago we went to online services, there'd be a worship service, and even in the living room, she would stand up and raise her hands. I mean, even in the last days when dementia had just taken over her brain, and she would sit in that hospital bed just like this for hours every night. We'd pray together. And I'd always ask her, did Christ die for your sins and to your salvation? And she would always cry and say yes. And the dementia could never take that away from her.
Amen. Amen. So what was it like with your mom? How was she acting?
Well, before the dementia, it was obvious that like something was wrong, as we mentioned, and it was really tense between Mom and myself. We would get into quite a few arguments, fights, because like I just didn't know what's wrong, and there was a really long period of time where I blamed myself for it because I was the one who was getting into a lot of fights with her. And I mean, it was just a crazy experience, and like was mentioned, since she was so much younger than the average age, it just kind of like bulldozed through her body because there was no sort of physical malfunction stopping it. Like it could pretty much.
I know there was different signs. You said that Beth was like a little child, but taller and smarter.
Yeah, and one big thing with that is something I noticed with dementia, this is kind of like my own personal opinion, is that it's kind of like aging backwards, because first Mom like lost the ability to have her job, and then it was things like cooking, driving, and then I think the more it went through the brain, the more things it took away. But like what's interesting is it was like in the order that like you would like grow up, but like backwards kind of. So yeah, like, and then after that, it was just things like reading, like conversations, like that stuff was hard. And then till it finally started shutting down her body, and she was unable to
speak.
Yeah, she wasn't able to speak, eat, and she had a hard time sleeping. And then eventually she just lost the ability to breathe. And
So being like a little child, being smarter and taller, so in other words, tall enough to get into things.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So you're a 2-year-old and you're trying to take care of that 2-year-old, and they're not supposed to get into the bleach, and they're not supposed to get into, but here she was smart and tall, so she could get into the bleach, she could get into things that she wasn't supposed to. How was that for you, trying to protect her from all of that?
She's pretty good. I mean, once we worked with her a few things, it was good. Ruby watched her, the girls would watch her. But sometimes you just turn your back for a second, and then all of a sudden the stereo's cranking, or she's boiling water for no apparent reason. Then she's sitting down. I'm like, "Are you making something?" And she just laugh. The stove's on. You're boiling water for something. You're making soup or something. She'd just be laughing, and then it was little things like that. She was never really in a danger situation. She was smart enough to know that, but
I mean, sometimes she would like go outside at night, but besides that, there really wasn't anything dangerous she was doing.
Yeah, it was more mischievous, like a small child, but very innocent. So it was kind of fun, but it was sweet, but never anything you had to really worry about.
Right. Very interesting. When we come back, Beth hugs her husband and her children for the last time. We'll be right back.
The Jennifer Sheehan TV show is real people with real stories of redemption, miracles, and overcoming. This is a TV Christian show that gives God all the glory. The show is a 501c3 nonprofit, giving back 100% of donations towards the Jennifer Sheehan TV show. We also partner with Operation Care International, serving and supporting the homeless. In a world that is spreading fake hope, only Jesus Christ and the Holy Bible have the supernatural power to change people and their circumstances. Production for the Jennifer Sheehan TV show is extensive, and we need partners to keep it on air. If you believe in our cause, please prayerfully consider to be a partner for a $20 donation a month or more. May God bless you.
One of the worst days of my life was when I was told that my 7-year-old twin son, Johnny, had cancer. Over 300,000 children are diagnosed with cancer every year. The Kids Shouldn't Have Cancer Foundation is determined to end pediatric cancer. Your gift of $15 a month will give these kids a voice they deserve.
Just if you see this video, thank you. 'Cause I'm just a kid.
It is estimated that 26 million Americans have an organ-related problem. At any one time, there are over 100,000 people in the United States waiting for a life-saving organ transplant. I'm a walking miracle. 27 years ago, I was blessed with a perfect match for a heart transplant. But millions are not so lucky. A heart can only be kept for up to 6 hours before transplantation. This is where the David Nicklaus Organ Donor Awareness Foundation provides help. We offer free housing for those waiting for a life-saving transplant who travel to the Dallas-Fort Worth area, among many other life-saving measures. But most importantly, we offer love and compassion from a recipient's point of view for those waiting for their transplant. Please visit nicholasfoundation.org and learn how you too can spread love. Please join us and be a hero and help us save a life.
Welcome back to the Jennifer Sheehan Show. So Beth had a boyfriend.
Well,
Yes.
kind of a boyfriend. It was sort of a like belief that like came
Obsession.
along with the dementia.
Yeah, so as some of the compulsiveness progressed, she developed this obsession for the Christian pop singer Toby Mac.
Right. I love
And-
him.
Yeah. And
And-
I feel like it was sort of a thing that like as the dementia progressed, it was like one of the only things she like remembered, and I guess that kind of got altered in her brain to kind of this like obsession or like childish crush kind of thing.
Yeah.
And she used to wear the shirt all the time.
Yeah.
Speak Life shirt. Yep, all day long. It was
Every
just
day.
like
Every day.
It just my office was next to the living room, and so every few hours it was just like till the day I die again. I'm just like, trying to be on a conference call. I'm just like, oh my gosh, but it's fine, it wasn't that big of a deal. 'Cause some people with dementia or Alzheimer's get angry and aggressive, but she was just became more and more content and sweet, and so it was for the big picture. We had it really good.
So you said that she actually went on his Facebook and messaged
Yeah, and she
with
would-
her address and
Yeah.
said, "Come pick me up. We're getting married."
Yeah, stuff like that. So then I would go and get into her Facebook page and log in her Facebook account and say, well, no, I'm on tour, I can't make it, to kind of diffuse that. That worked for about a week. She'd cry, and then she'd show it to me. I'm like, oh, it's okay, he's on tour. Of course, she can't. And then one day she had her suitcase sitting there. She's looking out the window and getting married. She was ready to go. I'm like,
So she had her bags packed,
Yeah, and I'm like-
and so she's ready to go marry
it was
Toby
so
Mac.
cute. We're all kind of giggling. I'm like, Beth, are you two-timing me? And she's like, she did me.
So you had to
hug.
explain to her, "Sorry, Beth,
Yeah.
you can't marry Toby Mac because
Yeah,
you're
that's
already
right.
married to me."
Yeah, that's right. And then I think he's married too. And she's like, oh.
I love that. I think that is such a sweet
Yeah.
sweet story, a part of what you guys had to go through. So sweet. So things progressed.
Things progressed. Obviously, as
How
I-
did she eat? Where
well,
was
as
it? How
she
bad was it
lost
getting?
her ability to speak, the dementia moved to different parts of the body, the brain, and so she had problems swallowing and chewing. And so I'd puree of food, and it'd be like a meatloaf, mashed potato, corn, milkshake, and just put it
Oh
on the
dear.
blender.
Does that sound good to you
But, yeah,
guys?
but I had to keep
But you had
meat
to,
on her.
yeah.
I'd make sure she got enough, fat, protein, everything to stay healthy, because we were still walking quite a bit. And then from there, I noticed, and this is only the last few months. From there, she wouldn't walk as far. For a while, every Sunday, we'd be over here in Camping Trail or around Bachman Lake doing 2 laps, 6 miles, or then around the neighborhood every day, or walk. After I got off work, we'd talk for a bit, or I'd talk to her, and then I'd take her hand. We'd walk the neighborhood and then go for a drive. But those walks got shorter and shorter. Eventually she'd walk to the end of the street and want to come back.
Right.
versus keep going to the hills and stuff. But she'd always been really, really fit and real big. You know, she ran, the Chicago Marathon
Right.
in 2000, probably 2001, about a year and a half before I met her.
Right. When we were talking, you reached out to me after watching the show and told me your story. And I prayed for her with you and prayed for her almost every day.
Yeah.
And we wanted her to come on the show.
Right.
And then the coronavirus happened.
Right. So I went on family leave, and just as I went on family leave, they locked everything down. So
Yeah,
all
that
of
was
April,
really unfortunate.
all of April, we had some good family time together,
Yeah.
playing games. But then
Definitely.
Mom progressed a bit, so she needed more care. And then obviously mid-May is when she had to go to the hospital for 3 weeks, and then from there, we had to put her in a memory care facility. We had that conversation together.
Yeah.
But we
Well,
also
then you had to discuss with the girls that there was a no resuscitate.
right. If Mom she had an issue with her oxygen dropped, and they had to semi-resuscitate her, move her to ICU. But at that point, we went through the estate documents and said, okay, this is what do not resuscitate is. If Mom gets cardiac arrest, it's going to be probably more damaging to her to revive her. And we talked about the estate documents.
Yeah,
as
and
do not resuscitate.
also we did keep her like on artificial nutrition until Harry and Carter got there because we wanted them to be
that's
able
her,
to.
her parents.
We wanted them to be able to see her, but after that we had to unplug.
Right. So we had went through. This is what Mom wanted in her end of life decisions. No artificial food, no artificial water or hydration, unless it was just for comfort, because she didn't want to be a burden to the family or be in a vegetative state forever.
Right.
And so, but we also knew when we got to the memory care facility, because of COVID, we wouldn't be able to see her,
Right.
except for a FaceTime call, and we would not know how long it would be till we could actually physically touch her again.
So you more or less had to say goodbye to your mom
Yeah.
and give
At the
her the
hospital.
last hug
Yeah.
because you didn't know if you were ever going to see her again.
Right. It's become my famous Facebook picture, The Last Hug,
Right.
and the book even inspired me to write.
Yes.
I
yeah.
might write a book too now.
should.
Yes,
You
you
should.
should. You
Oh.
absolutely should.
But
So what was that last hug like?
I mean, of course, like for me, it was just like, well, I mean, I thought that she would, I really hoped that I would be able to see her again after Corona let out and that she would make it that far. But so it was just really like kind of, I mean, we took some pictures. I tried to make it like kind of like not like super like sad or like super like kind of nervous, but of course deep down it was like, well, I might not ever see her again. And yeah, it was.
And she rallied in the hospital. I mean, when they took the feeding tube out and the air tube, I mean, she was walking around the hospital floor within an hour. The doctor said, we have never seen this before. And everybody's just high-fiving her, all the nurses.
She wanted to go home.
Yep, she did. And she was so strong, that big $1 million smile on her face. But it just, that since the dementia moved to a different part of the brain, it affected the breathing, and she had a breathing issue the 4th, a couple hours before they flew. But we got a FaceTime call with Mom.
Yeah, that was great that we at least got to like see her
Yeah.
one last time
And
and FaceTime her before we got on our plane. And then of course once we got to Seattle, we went home with my dad's parents because that's who we were visiting. So we went home with them and we ate dinner, and then we called Dad to tell him we got there safe, and then that's when we received the news that she had passed away.
About an hour after they took off is when she passed away. So
I'm so sorry. And you, sweet girl, Allie, how did you feel when all this was going on?
I was just like really surprised and really sad.
yeah, 'cause it just happened so fast, almost 2 days. But that's why I said it was the last because we didn't know how much longer it was. I mean, she lost probably 35 pounds.
Yeah, she was so skinny. Like
yeah.
she was lighter than me
Yeah.
when we like went and weighed her together.
Yeah. She's tall like you. She's she's 5'9", and always exercise. So she's a healthy girl. But yeah, I mean, she was that last time. You could just feel the bones and the skin. But
Yeah, she was so skinny, and I was like, wow.
And then when she got to the memory care facility, they said, hey, they've had some success helping her eat a bit, sitting with her. So she's by herself, like a COVID area or a, kind of a quarantine area. So we're thinking, okay, yeah, maybe we're gonna get through this a bit, but it just wasn't enough.
I was so surprised. I think it's the first time that thought she was going to come on the show, and then COVID happened, and then she went into the memory care, And then I just kept praying with you. And
Yeah, an amazing thing, one of our elders' wives, they lived in a townhome about 2 blocks away from the memory care facility. And we told her she was there. It goes, every time I walk by there, I'm stopping and praying for Beth. You know, and it's not something I even knew.
And that text you sent me, I was so shocked. You're like, Jennifer, Beth died today. But you said something that was so impactful in my life. You said, but I'm still praising Jesus.
Yep, we will glorify his name forever.
Yeah, and of course, throughout all this journey, there were a couple times where it was really hard to keep praising Jesus because, well, there were a couple of times where, like, of course, I mean, I still believed that, like, God existed, but I wasn't sure if I had faith in him. I wasn't sure if I believed that he even loved me. It was a crazy religious, spiritual journey for all of us, as well as a crazy emotional journey, but I'm glad to say that now I can say that I strongly believe that he loves me and he's looking out for us.
I'm so glad. You know, I love your whole family. Thank you for sharing this story, this heartbreaking story to help others. Thank you that you can show that faith, you have faith. You know you're going to see her again someday in heaven. And faith in sharing your story. And thank you for being on the prayer team for the TV show.
That's
and
fine. Of course, it's our pleasure.
You guys are just amazing. Thank you so much for sharing your story. When we come back, you can have that same strength that Scott and the girls have. We'll be right back.
The world is becoming a divided place. Political discord, racism, and war are tools of hate. But we can stand against this. You will have the unique opportunity to participate in the March of Remembrance, an event that brings people together for education, healing, and reconciliation. Be an upstander. Take a stand against anti-Semitism and hate. For more information and to register, go to www.mordallas.org.
Welcome back to the Jennifer Sheehan Show. That same strength that Scott and the girls have, you can also have. If you haven't prayed to receive Jesus as your Lord and Savior, pray with me. Jesus, I know you died on the cross for my sin. You rose on the third day. Please forgive me for my sin. I receive you as my Lord and Savior. It's in Jesus' name I pray. Amen. Tune in next week. We have another great story for you.